welcome back to another Crochet with Me video. This is where I work on a crochet project whilst I answer your questions. If we've not met before, hi, I'm Em. I'm a crochet designer and a content creator, and in this video I'm going to be answering your questions about the ins and outs of my crochet business and my YouTube channel. I've got quite a few questions to get through, and there's some really good ones in there covering all sorts of things such as my inspiration, my income, how I earn money from crochet, and advice for new crochet businesses. So if that sounds great to you, grab yourself a cup of something yummy and your crochet project, get comfy, and we'll jump into those questions right after I talk a little bit about the project I'm going to be working on in this episode. So the project I'm working on at the minute is a stash busting granny square blanket. So I'll show you the kind of squares that I'm making. So these are my solid granny squares. I have a tutorial of how to make these down in the description, and I'm making them using my stash of hand-dyed sock yarn. I'm holding 2 strands together and using a 4mm hook to make these solid granny squares. The colour of the squares I'm going to be working on in this video are these beautiful pale yellow squares with pink and purple speckles, and this is a shade from the yarn dyer Fruitful Fusion, and the colour is called Garden Rose. So that's what I'm going to be crocheting on in this video. So I have a square here that I started yesterday that I still need to do, I think, 1.5 rounds on, so we're going to start with that. Just going to get myself comfy with some cushions under my arms, because if you watched the last episode you know that I do have some health problems, and I just find it's a lot more comfy for me to crochet with like a cushion under each arm just to kind of support my arms a bit. I have a bit of a tremor and it's quite bad today, so this kind of helps me continue to crochet through my health problems. So first question, did you ever think your channel would grow so big? So I hoped that I would reach 100,000 subscribers. I wasn't expecting it to happen so quickly. I wasn't expecting it to happen in 2 years. I was more expecting like 5 to 10 years to grow on YouTube. And yeah, I'm really grateful for all of you that watch my videos, all of you that like them, comment them, press subscribe. Like the fact that 150,000 people have watched a video that I've made, just me, and have thought, oh yeah, I want to see more of that content, and click subscribe. It's a little bit surreal, but I'm very, very grateful for all of you, and you guys keep me coming back week after week, making tutorials and making videos, and you know, putting out patterns and doing crochet alongs, because like I know that there are people out there who really like what I do, and I just want to keep sharing my love of crochet. So next question. Does YouTube pay for people's channels? Do you have to be in a contract with YouTube for content? So YouTube does pay me to make videos, but in a kind of roundabout way. So pretty much anyone can post on YouTube. You can create an account for free, but to be paid you need to meet their criteria, and I can't remember what their criteria is, so I'm gonna look it up. To earn money from YouTube, Google AdSense, so that's from adverts. So when you're watching a YouTube video, you might see some adverts like at the beginning, at the end, or in the middle of a YouTube video, and the advertisers pay to put those adverts there, and YouTube pays me a portion of that advertising. But to be able to be eligible to join the YouTube Partner Program, where they pay money from the adverts, you need to have 1,000 subscribers with 4,000 public watch hours in the past 12 months, or if you're on shorts, so that's for long form videos, but if you're on shorts you need to have 1,000 subscribers and 10 million views in the past 90 days. So that's kind of, once you reach that criteria, that's when YouTube starts giving you money for the adverts that they play. So on smaller channels they don't earn anything from the adverts Google plays. Google keeps all of it because Google runs YouTube, so Google keeps all of it. So I got the requirements, I think it was in July 2023, so about 4 or 5 months after I started posting on YouTube. Yeah, and they pay me a portion. It's either, I'm just going to look this up again. So I've just looked it up. So So say an advertiser pays to put an advert on a video. So what they pay, I get 55% of what they pay, and YouTube keeps 45% of what they pay. And they do this by, I think it's something called like an RPM or a CPM. It's like revenue per mil. So I get paid a certain amount of money per 1,000 views. And this is only on my long form videos. Shorts don't earn very much. They earn pennies compared to the long form videos. So say, so my YouTube RPM, so that's revenue per mil, is how many pounds I get paid per 1,000 views, and it fluctuates through the year. We're currently in November, and November and December are the highest paid times of the year because the advertisers want to get like Christmas adverts and things out. So I get paid more this time of year than I would say uploading a video in the summer. My RPM fluctuates between about £3 per 1,000 views, and I think it's currently £5 per 1,000 views. So say I get my last crochet with me video, I think as of today it's got 3,000 views. So I will have been paid £5, it's £5 something per 1,000 views. So I will have made about £15 off putting that video up. So yeah, so that's kind of like how I earn money, by putting videos up on YouTube. There are other ways YouTubers can make money. Some have a membership, so that you might have seen this on some other channels. I don't have a membership currently, where you pay a few pounds a month and you get access to like exclusive content that you kind of like paid for. YouTubers, you might see them do like an advertising spot on their, like a sponsorship on their videos. I realise I'm supposed to be crocheting while I'm talking about this, aren't I? So yeah, so a sponsorship, so that might be where they interrupt their own video and say, and just a quick word from our sponsor, and they'll do like a read of an advert basically, and they've been paid to put that advert there. I don't accept those kind of sponsorships on this channel at the moment. It's not something I necessarily want to do. So yeah, that's another way YouTubers earn money. Sometimes they have like a Patreon where it's similar to a membership, and there's also affiliate links as well. So you might see a YouTuber say, and you can use my code to get 10% off, and then all of the purchases from that business using that code, they'll get a cut of that money. I've tried affiliates before. I've tried Amazon affiliates, and it was earning me pennies, so I didn't continue. So yeah, so the only way that I personally make money from YouTube is those adverts. And then the other thing to say about the YouTube AdSense is that if you're a YouTube Premium member, so that's where you pay YouTube and you pay them a monthly fee, and they don't run adverts on YouTube videos you watch when you're watching from your account. So I actually have that for my personal YouTube account. So I also get a portion of that. So say, you know, you're a YouTube Premium watcher and you watch one of my videos, I will get a really small percentage of what you've paid that month for however much of my content that you've watched, basically. So yeah, so that's how I make money on YouTube, and that's how that works. I think you asked if I need to be in a contract with YouTube. I'm pretty sure I had to sign some contracts, and I had to like prove my identity, and I had to like provide tax information because of like tax purposes and tax reporting and things, because although I might earn say £5 per 1,000 views on a video, I don't keep that income. I have to pay corporate tax off that income. So yeah, we'll dive a bit more into my income in one of the future questions. I think there's a question asking me about like crochet business profit, so we'll talk about that then. So next question is, was it your health that led you to start your YouTube channel? Yeah, in a roundabout way. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't gotten chronically unwell and lost my job as a midwife. So that was in kind of through the end of 2022 and the early 2023. I knew that kind of I was going to be dismissed from work because I'd had such a long time off work because of my health problems. And that was around about the time I started posting on Instagram and TikTok. I didn't intend Meema Makes to be a business. I've never had this goal of like being a YouTuber. I started sharing my crochet out of boredom and loneliness. If I'm honest, I was essentially housebound when I started posting as Meema Makes, and I was doing a lot of knitting and crochet. So I started posting, and people were really interested in it and asked me for some tutorials. So I uploaded a few tutorials to TikTok. I kind of went a little bit viral, and then that was the point where I thought, I wonder if I can make a business out of this. I wonder if this can be my job. Now I'm losing my job. that I worked really hard for, can I make a business from my passion and things that I'm actually able to do and work around my health problems? As I kind of was going a bit viral on TikTok and Instagram, I wasn't earning very much from them. Instagram doesn't pay you at all, and TikTok wasn't paying me very much. And so I looked up, and I think YouTube is just a better platform for the content that I create. Like, I create detailed crochet tutorials, and I want to create like a slow, cozy space here on my YouTube channel, whereas like TikTok wants fast, rapid content, and it just didn't feel like the right fit for me. YouTube feels like the right fit for me. So then I started my YouTube channel. So in a roundabout way, yes, I started my YouTube channel because of my health, because I started posting on social media because of my health. If I was still doing what I was doing before I got unwell, I was a full-time midwife, I was doing a part-time public health master's degree, and I just bought a house to renovate myself. So if I hadn't have gotten unwell, if I hadn't have developed all of these health problems, then I wouldn't have made a YouTube channel. I wouldn't be here sat speaking to you. So yeah. Okay, next question. I think we're moving on to crochet like business questions now. Is the crochet business a profitable one? How do you make money? Short answer, yes, the crochet business is profitable, but not as much as people think. Or I guess the way I do it is not as much as people think. So I think we should start with how I actually make money from Meema Makes. So approximately 50% of my income is that YouTube AdSense that we talked about before, and the other approximately 50% is from digital pattern sales. So I have an Etsy shop and a Ravelry shop and my own website where you can download digital copies of my crochet patterns. And that counts towards 50% of my business. I don't say you spend £5 plus VAT on one of my crochet patterns. I don't get that £5 plus VAT. Obviously the VAT goes to the government, that's tax, sales tax. And then whatever platform I've sold it on takes a fee as well for, the use of the platform. And then that goes into my business's income. I do earn a really small amount from sales of Yarnsmith's branded yarn packs. So anything that is a Yarnsmith's yarn that I've made a yarn pack for on the Wool Warehouse website, I get a small percentage of that sale. It's not very much. Some months it's nothing, some months it's 10, 20, 30 pounds. So it's not a lot at all from those yarn packs. So my primary two sources of income are YouTube adverts and pattern sales. So now we've got that out of the way, we can talk about profitability. So in the first year of my business, any profits that the business made, so I set up my business as a limited company in April 2023, and so the financial year runs from April 2023 to April 2024. So in that first financial year, I don't think I made a profit, or if I did, it wasn't a huge amount, because any money the business made, I was reinvesting it back into the business. I started off filming on my phone, and then slowly over time, as the business has earned enough money, I've bought at this point, I've bought 2 cameras, 2 microphones, might be 3 microphones, I can't remember. So yeah, 2 cameras, 2 microphones. I've bought a laptop that's powerful enough to edit 4K videos, because I really want to produce like the highest quality content possible that I can for my business. I'm supposed to be crocheting, aren't I? Yeah, so I want to make the highest quality content. So I bought a powerful laptop that was good enough to edit hour-long 4K videos, which my previous personal laptop wasn't good enough to do. I've just finished this square, so I'll just get the next one started and then I'll continue on. So yeah, so we were talking about what I spend my business on, what I spent all those profits on in the first year, and just stuff like studio lights and photography backgrounds, just to make my content a bit better. I also did a pattern writing course as well online to make sure that my patterns were good quality. I pay for software that I edit my thumbnails on. So there's quite a lot of business expenses as well with running a crochet business, or at least the way that I run my crochet business, there's expenses. I also, I bought yarn, I bought tools like crochet hooks. I pay for a more experienced pattern designer to do something called tech editing on my patterns. So that's after I've written a pattern, I'll send it to them and I will pay them an hourly rate to look through the pattern and check that everything's correct, all my maths is right, my stitches make sense, everything makes sense, before it can go to a group of testers to test my pattern. So there's quite a lot of expenses that go along with making a crochet content and crochet patterns. So in the first year, I don't think I made a profit. My second year, so that is April 2024 to April 2025, I can't tell you how much profit the business made because I've submitted my accounts to my accountant, but she's not gone through and done all of the maths and stuff because I need to know how much tax I need to pay for that year. So my business pays corporate tax. I can't remember how much it is. I think it's about 20%, something like that, on any profits made. So that's the income that I've had minus all of those expenses. I then pay tax on what's left, and what's left after that is the business's profits for the year. So I can tell you how much income I got in between 2024 and 2025, but I can't tell you how much profit the business made. So between April 2024 and April 2025, my business income was, and my accountant hasn't checked this, okay, I estimate it to be about £24,000. And again, that's not profit, that's kind of turnover, that's my income for the year. And for either 9 or 10 of the months, I think it was 10 months of that year. So I started paying myself in July. I started taking a salary from the business. So I am the sole director and sole employee of the business. So I own the business, but I'm also employed by the business. I took a salary of, I think it was, or it still is, £240 per week. So that's the equivalent in the UK of doing 20 hours at minimum wage. And I think that that's fair for the amount of like work that I put in, I think, because I can't work at Meema Makes full time because of my health problems. So I would say I make a part-time income from Meema Makes, and then I also drew a share of the business, so I can take a dividend, which is like a share of the profits as well. Can't remember how much that was. That was to go direct into a savings account. So yeah, that's kind of the ins and outs of how I make money with my crochet business. I think it's a lot less than people think. I have had comments in the past like, why can't you get your patterns translated into another language, or is it not profitable enough for you to pay to get your tutorials dubbed in other languages? And I'm like, yes I could, but then I can't draw a salary to pay my bills. So it's I think it's trying to get that balance, is that, you know, this is my job, this is all I can do. I can't work a traditional job because of my health, so that's why I'm here. So yeah, I hope that all makes sense. If you have any like specific questions, like if you're wanting to start a crochet business and you have some specific questions, just drop me an email. I'll do the best to like advise as I can, but like I said, I'm still very new to all of this, and I'm not a business advisor, I'm not a financial advisor, but I can kind of point you to some like resources that I use to learn about how to make a YouTube video, how to film, how to, you know, I don't know, use hashtags on Instagram and things like that. So yeah, I can kind of point you towards the resources that I used when I was setting up my business. So the next question is, I want to start a business of crochet, but I don't know where to start. Please help me. Again, I don't feel qualified to give like business advice, but I can kind of point you in the right direction. So if you're wanting to make things, physical things that you want to sell on, say, Etsy, online, or at craft markets, I've never sold crochet, ever. I've never sold something that I've crocheted. I don't think I have. I'm pretty sure I haven't. It's not something that interests me. My crochet is too precious to me. I would rather gift it to people that I love than sell it. So if that is the kind of business that you want to set up, I would recommend the Crochetpreneur. I'll link her down below. She has like a blog and I think a podcast. I've not really actually looked into the nitty-gritty of her stuff. I just know of her. So she's like a crochet business coach, and she has made money online and at craft markets selling things that she's crocheted, and I know she's got quite a lot of resources about that, so that's probably a good place to start. The other kinds of crochet business I think I can offer a little bit more insight into. So obviously there's two sides of my crochet business. There's the content creation side and the pattern designing side. So if you're wanting to write and sell your own patterns, I would recommend taking a pattern writing course. I did the one by Edie Ekman, who's written quite a lot of crochet books. I found it really, really helpful. However, I don't agree with everything that she teaches on her course. She likes her patterns. She's very much a traditional pattern writer in that she wants to be as concise as possible, as brief as possible in the instructions, whereas I'm very much a step-by-step photo tutorial kind of girl. But it was really good at kind of focusing on what information needs to be in a pattern for it to be a good pattern. And I do think doing that course has made my patterns a better quality than they would have been if I'd have just looked at some people's patterns and been like, right, I'm going to write a pattern now. So yeah, I'd really recommend that. You're also going to want to think about how you're going to sell your patterns. You could do it on your own website. You could use a different platform, something like Etsy, Ravelry, Ribbler, Lovecrafts. There's all sorts of websites that sell digital crochet patterns, and maybe do a bit of research into what platforms you want to sell on. I started off selling on Ravelry because I'm a massive Ravelry user anyway, so I felt like I knew the platform. And I also sold on Etsy, and then in May this year I finally did my own website where I now sell my crochet patterns. I'd also have a look at the fees that these platforms charge as well. Etsy fees seem to be the highest, and they do quite a lot of marketing though themselves. So if you don't want to be on social media, like advertising your patterns, yourself marketing your patterns, Etsy might be a good choice for you, because Etsy kind of has built-in searchability and marketability, and they will run ads. They will charge you for the ads that they run, but they will run ads for your patterns. I also know of a crochet designer who doesn't have a large following on social media, and she pays to run Facebook ads for her patterns, and then she gets pattern sales that pays for the advertising basically. So yeah, there's lots of ways of doing it. In terms of content creation, I'd say the best place to start is, what platform do you like to use yourself as a consumer of content? Where is your automatic go-to for content? If you're on TikTok hours a day, you probably want to create a TikTok account because you know what works there, because you're already watching content. You're a content consumer on TikTok, so you kind of know what the experience is like. If you're on Instagram, maybe Instagram is the way for you. My preference is YouTube because you get paid more essentially. So I started on Instagram and then TikTok. Instagram doesn't pay me anything. I get millions of views on Instagram sometimes. I don't get paid anything for those views. I really like Instagram though, because it's where I kind of like follow a lot of people, because I'm a hobby knitter, so I follow a lot of knitwear designers on there. I follow some crocheters, follow people in my community on social media as well on there. Yarn dyers, I really love hand-dyed yarn, so I follow a lot of yarn dyers on Instagram as well. So Instagram was kind of where I started because I felt like I kind of knew it. I was never really big on social media until I started posting as Meema Makes though. I had a couple of like personal private accounts to keep in contact with like friends and family, but apart from that I never had these big dreams of being big on social media or anything. It just happened to be how I ended up where I am now. So yeah, think about the platform that you want to work on, and also think about how you want to earn money. So we talked a little bit about how YouTubers earn money. There's also ways of earning money on other platforms as well. For example, TikTok, they have I was part of the creator fund, and they kind of paid me for, I think it was videos over a minute or something like that. I did not earn much from that on TikTok at all, and nowhere near enough to like be a significant income like YouTube has become. But I know there's people on there that make quite a lot of money from TikTok Shop, from brand deals where, you know, a brand will pay you to make a piece of content. So yeah, how are you wanting to earn money if you're wanting to do content creation is the main thing, because that might impact your choice of your platform. And then when you've decided on your platform, just type into like YouTube how to start a successful TikTok account, or how to start a crochet business or a crochet account on YouTube, and there'll be videos out there with advice, and it'll be better advice than I can give you because, like I said, I'm not very confident with my business stuff. I still feel like I'm not necessarily making the most profitable decisions. I'm very much limited by my disability as well. So I don't feel like I'm qualified to give you like detailed advice on how to set up your crochet business. So yeah, and then once you do start posting on social media, you might then get approached by brands and things that will want to pay you to make content for them. I did it once. I didn't enjoy it very much. I don't intend on doing it again, but if that's something you want to do, that's probably gonna earn you a lot more money than I make currently doing what I do. So yeah, I hope that kind of gives you a start in place for if you are wanting to set up your own crochet business. So we're now moving on to some more questions sort of about specifics about my designs and my tutorials. So where do you get your inspiration from? Lots of places, lots and lots of places. Like I said earlier, I'm quite active on Instagram. I follow a lot of people on Instagram, so sometimes I'm influenced by something I see on Instagram. Sometimes I'm influenced by the yarn that I've got. Actually, that was kind of what inspired my evergreen cowl. Sometimes I'm inspired by other crafts as well. So my blanket pattern that's coming out in a few weeks is inspired by patchwork quilts, and also the book Anne of Green Gables. That was a really fun inspiration because each of the 16 patchwork blocks are inspired by a character, and I'm going to be kind of explaining why I chose that block for each character each week through the crochet along, so that's going to be fun. And yeah, also sometimes stitch dictionaries, actually, I find them really inspiring because they're not necessarily stitches that because I don't really watch crochet tutorials or anything like that. So stitch dictionaries are great for me to just have a flick through and think, oh, I wonder if I could do that, but do it differently, and with different colours, and kind of like turn it into a tutorial. So that's quite a heavy inspiration on me this year in 2025. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I get my inspiration from. I think my colour inspiration is often autumn and kind of vintage colour palettes as well. I really love. So yeah, just everywhere. Everything inspires me. The Yorkshire blanket was inspired by the Yorkshire countryside. There's blocks in there like foxgloves. It was inspired by a hill covered in foxgloves. Or a waterfall square was inspired by the waterfall at Malham Cove. So there's, yeah, just everywhere. Inspiration is all around you if you look for it. Next question, will you ever do a tutorial on crocheting socks? I mean, never say never, but it's not on my plans for 2026. I'm currently trying to work out kind of some more wearable crochet patterns. Most of my patterns at the minute are blankets, because blankets are the thing that I feel quite passionately about in the crochet, in crochet. But I am wanting to move into wearables, so things like shawls and garments. I'm currently struggling to learn how to grade crochet patterns to different sizes. It's been quite a hard skill for me to learn, I think, because I do have some cognitive issues to do with my health problems, so the maths isn't always as straightforward as it potentially would have been before I got on well. So yeah, so I'm currently learning that. Socks is something I could potentially, I know how to, I've knit a lot of socks. I've not crocheted any socks. So I probably could work out how to do a crochet sock pattern. Never say never, but it's not on my immediate plans for 2026. I've kind of planned out my year for 2026 already. So I kind of know what's coming next year. If you want a sneak peek, we've got a shawl pattern. I've got 1 to 2 blanket patterns, including a crochet along. I'm hopefully going to try and get my first garment pattern out, and potentially a bag pattern as well. In terms of tutorials, there's going to be more stitch tutorials, there's going to be more technique tutorials. We've got one coming up on like blanket edges, some more granny square tutorials, and I'm also going to do a series on Tunisian crochet as well. So that's kind of like my rough plan for 2026. So yeah, socks aren't on the plan. Next question. Oh yeah, so I had a lot of questions actually. I was a little bit surprised by the number of questions I had about this. Was asking me how I learned to crochet left-handed, am I ambidextrous, how do I make left-handed crochet tutorials. So I'm going to be real with you now. I can't crochet left-handed. I can't, I suppose technically I can, but it's really I'm really slow and I make a lot of mistakes. So I'm not ambidextrous by any stretch. But for my left-handed crochet tutorials, what I do is in my video editing software, I can flip it, so I can mirror it. I can flip the footage around basically so it looks like I'm crocheting with my left hand. So I film my right-handed tutorials and then I flip them in my editing software basically. And sometimes I have to refilm sections. So if I'm going to be saying right or left, or I've got a tutorial, I think it's coming out next week actually from after this video. It might not be, but I think it is, on crochet cables, and I had to re-record several rows for that because the crochet cables look differently. When you're doing it left-handed and right-handed, if you're right-handed, your cables look like this, and if you're left-handed, your cables look like this, basically. So I had to re-record part of that. But generally, I just flip the footage and then I watch it through to check that all my editing and everything I'm saying is okay. Sometimes I'll re-record the voiceover for the left-handed tutorials if it's needed, and sometimes I actually re-record the actual crochet part as well. But yeah, it's I had a bit of a drama a couple of weeks ago because I tried to do this with knitting tutorials. I tried mirroring the footage and it was up for a month, and then someone left a comment saying, I've just tried this and I'm really frustrated because my stitches are twisted. And I was like, oh, I wonder why that is. So I watched it, I tried to follow it, and I was like, oh my God, this is giving twisted knit stitches. And then I asked someone else who is a left-handed knitter to watch it, and she said, yeah, that will give you twisted stitches. So I can't mirror my knitting tutorials like I can with crochet tutorials. So yeah, currently I only have 2 knitting tutorials, how to knit for beginners and how to purl for beginners. So if I'm going to be doing more knitting tutorials in the future, I either need to learn, basically I either need to only do right-handed knitting tutorials or do or learn how to knit left-handed, so I can do a left-handed tutorial as well. But I don't know how feasible that is to learn left-handed knitting for that. But it's annoyed me a little bit, and it's put me off doing more knitting tutorials because I like doing left-handed crochet tutorials because I get messages all the time from people saying how helpful they are and how they feel seen now, because a lot of people that do crochet patterns and tutorials don't do left-handed versions, whereas and I get messages saying I felt excluded until I found your channel because you do left-handed tutorials, and messages like that are why I do it. They're why I do it. And I've got a sibling that I taught to crochet who's left-handed, and that was, I think, just that half an hour where I was teaching them crochet made me kind of like, yes, I definitely need to make sure I'm doing left-handed videos for all of my tutorials. So yeah, I don't know if I'll do any more knitting tutorials. It was more for fun than anything. I just thought, oh, I wonder if I can do a knitting tutorial as well as a crochet one. My channel's going to be primarily crochet tutorials for the time being. So yeah, that's how I do left-handed tutorials. Final question, why do you use American crochet terms when you are British? So there are a few reasons why I prefer to use American crochet terms in my crochet tutorials when I'm British. So the first reason is I actually learned using American crochet terms. I learned in YouTube in 2010, and I learned from an American lady who I can't find now because it was 15 years ago and I can't find the tutorial that I followed. But yeah, so I learnt using American terms. I very quickly learned from the blogs that I was following at the time that there are American and there are UK crochet terms, and they're slightly different. So if you're new to crochet, basically in UK crochet terms there's no single crochet. US single crochet is a UK double crochet. I have a video showing the stitches and the different crochet terms that I'll link down in the description. So yeah, so that's the first reason, is that's how I learned. So that's how my brain works. I learned that there were British terms quite quickly, but they didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand why there wasn't a single crochet, why they went straight to double crochet. And just in my head, when I see, like, I'm on my second square that I've been working on. and I'm using double crochet, US double crochet, but it's a UK treble crochet, and I just didn't understand, like, this is a double crochet to me. It makes sense that it's a double crochet. So yeah, they just make more sense to me. If I was to try and do UK terms tutorials, it wouldn't be automatic to me. I'd have to think, and I think I would make a lot of mistakes. I would keep calling this a double instead of a treble, and I would get muddled, and then my tutorials would not be as good. And yeah, so that's the next reason, is that's just how my brain works. And I think the other reason is that around the world, you know, my YouTube channel is global. I think the last time I looked, about 25% of my audience is from the USA and about 9% of my audience is British. So I've got very much a global audience. So, and US crochet terms are used more commonly around the world and are more sort of widely used in the global community. So if I want my tutorials to be as helpful as possible to as many people as possible, I need to be making them in American terminology. So yeah, that's why my tutorials are in American terms. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I just want to say a massive thank you to all of those people who left such lovely comments on my first Crochet With Me episode. It's because of you why I came back and decided to keep filming these. Like, you were just all so lovely and left me such lovely comments. So yeah, thank you so much, and I'll be back with another Crochet With Me episode in a few weeks' time, and that'll either be answering beginner crochet questions, or it will be the episode I'm kind of worried about filming, and it's all the questions about my personal life, and there's a lot of questions in there about my health. So yeah, I need to make sure that I am feeling strong enough to talk about my health that day, because I've been feeling quite tearful about it recently. So yeah, I will see you again in another Crochet With Me video.